think this is what's happening. It's starting to go. This is what's happening.
Wow.
Everybody's getting ripped
over here.
It's starting.
I mean, it's such a nice...
And we can...
Sorry?
I was going to say, maybe we can even try that other nail, the titanium, I mean, the silicone one.
I definitely brought it.
Because we were mentioning that in the very beginning about the flavors and tastes, and I wanted to leave that up to you because you were talking about that.
Well, look at Butter King. He hit off of this little pipe that Darren has, and he was like, "Whoa, that tastes super weird," because he hit it off quartz instead of titanium, and he got a different he got a different terp profile off of it. And I found when I first started hitting quartz that titanium was less tasty to me.
Yeah.
And then I found when I started hitting the silicon carbide that quartz was less tasty to me. And that's just the way the terpenes react and sublimate or evaporate or vaporize. The way they do differently from quartz to titanium to ceramic to silicon carbide, all these different heat sources, they taste different. We
are all definitely seeing that. And I was mentioning that in the beginning. That when you gave Jody a hit last night, she was mentioning how tasty it was, and then you were going on because it was on that silicone.
Well, you know what? I bet you she would have said that on any surface, because I don't think she is puffing full melt dry sift on the regular.
No, just when I come down here.
Yeah. You getting what? Yeah. Well, I thought we were going in a row.
Yeah.
Are we going?
Yeah,
no, you know what? You're working. We'll take care of you first.
Yeah, right.
You're working.
Wow. That burned for a long time.
So now imagine 10 more of those.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, number one. Here we go.
It was absurd.
We're going to hit Jeremiah 10 times in a row. He gets one every minute.
I'm telling you, I did it once today.
Every 10 minutes.
Every 10
And
minutes?
more than halfway through, towards the 9th hit, I think I said to Darren, we should do them all on the silicon carbide nail now.
I think we should.
Wow. So, gets my heart beating fast.
Give him the mic.
I was thinking you were going to say you're going to have a last couple of tokes on that carbide, but then you said all 11.
All 11.
See the video.
So, wait, is the video up yet, did you say?
No. The last video I posted is with Horatio, actually, and it's talking about we've got wet herb, we've got dry herb, we've got the dry sift, and then we've got the LHO and the terpenes. Although the terpenes weren't present in the video, he does have them, and he's on his way here right now, and I'm going to get them from him. So we were kind of doing a little test on smelling the herb fresh and the way it smells with chlorophyll and all these sort of water and these maskers that hide the profile, and then smelling the profile in dry cured herb. Whoa. And then hitting a dry sift hit and then hitting an LHO hit. It was a quite a nice little, collection of extractions and bud.
Now, here, can you walk us through, Bubbleman, the different kinds of concentrates? I mean, there's such a wide rainbow of them, but we have, obviously the standard hash, like finger hash that comes straight off of your hands and body, and you can just ball up into black.
Finger hash, legit, old school.
Old school style, you just from rubbing
India,
plants.
Nepal, many cultures. They have it kind of in places like Jamaica, but it's more collected from scissors and like different smuggling. Like back in the day when they would hammer pounds into into rims of tires to get ready for smuggling.
Yeah.
The excuse me, the sledgehammers would be covered in rub. Thick amounts of it. And that's why the Jamaican gum, if it's real, back then anyway, in the late 80s, early 90s, it was as hard as a rock.
Right.
Like you could get it under your... If you're trying to break it, you could hurt your... under your nail.
Well, and so, of course, then there's like... Yeah, and actually, back in antiquity, I guess, people would run out through the fields naked and actually, collect the hash from off their bodies.
Yeah, I heard this. I think I heard it more along the hippie hashish trail that it was happening, which would be probably around like, I guess in the 70.
Right. Well, 69. I guess maybe not going back too far, but I always envisioned like,
Well, you know what? A lot of people think that the hash making goes back further than it does to the places that it does, because if you read hashish and you look like in the Middle East and in some parts, the Sufis were doing it like a long time ago.
Exactly.
In places like Morocco, it wasn't until the 60s that a gentleman, I believe it was a Mustafa, a Nigerian, who brought Lebanese screening techniques, and it was the early 60s. It wasn't until the mid-60s that Morocco started going hard, and by the 70s become one of the largest world exporters of hashish.
And so who are the major producers? Afghanistan?
Morocco for sure, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, Nepal, much smaller amounts. And then now I'm happy to say North America representing.
Do they have full melt?
Do they have full melt?
How many tons do you think are of hash are produced even just with bubble bags on an annual basis?
Oh my God, I can't imagine. It must be a fuckload.
It's more than many countries are producing annually, I'll tell you that much.
Wow. So you're like a Mark Emery with you're responsible for all this bubble hash out there.
No, I'm not responsible. Each and every person is responsible. That's the beautiful thing. They made it happen, you know, because you could buy bubble bags and throw them under your bed, and nothing would happen. It's not without you that they work.
Have you ever run into problems with paraphernalia laws anywhere in the world?
No, not at all. We've shown the process can be done with a multitude of plants that secrete essential oils through glandular trichomes. And so we've done it with roses, and we've done it with yerba mate, and we've done it with lavender, and we've done it with mints and spearmint and a whole variety of that family.
Some of that mint shatter.
You do, absolutely. I did this like 15 years ago. I remember buying organic mint from Sweet Cherry Bum, which was right next to my gallery.
Yeah.
And taking it home, running it through the bags, and being like, whoa, like it was gummy and like kind of dank. And my wife was kind of like, what are you going to do with that? And I'm like, I'm going to dry it out into powder, and then I'm gonna hit it. And she's like, you're gonna hit it? And I was like, yeah. So I hit it by myself, and it was kind of like weird, not really that good.
Huh.
But then my next step was like, I'm gonna hit it with bubble. So I took a big rip of bubble, and then I took the same amount of mint bubble, and I mixed them together, and then I made a patty and put it in my bowl, and I ripped that fucking thing, blew it out, and I remember being like, oh my God.
Did it taste minty?
There was a light mint taste, but my cough was completely suppressed.
Oh.
So I'm tripping, and I'm like, this is insane. So I punch into Google, mint suppress cough. And I get this like, I think it was, what's like a big evil tobacco company? Philip Morris.
Philip Morris, yeah.
Philip Morris has this like $20 million study they did to try and figure out a cigarette that had a suppressed cough. Huh. And this is when they discover mentholated cigarettes. They spent $20 million discovering that.
That makes perfect sense.
I did it in an afternoon with a 1-gallon set of bubble bags and a little bit of mint from Sweet Cherry Bum.
I have my Hall's mentholyptus. It's like peppermint. You know?
Yeah, but think of back before it happened. Like, these guys didn't know. It was kind of like the Americans making spending millions on the pen that writes in space. And the Russians are like, we used a pencil. It's like, oh.
Mint, yeah. Yeah, of course. It makes perfect sense, I guess.
Oh, a pencil. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, why didn't they use a pencil?
Did everyone get a rip?
But so
we were going through.
We were going through the different kinds of.
So you got through.
We got through like finger hash, essentially just regular black
hash,
hash,
and then screened hash from all the production companies we mentioned.
Yeah, like in keef that just comes out of your grinder and all that kind of stuff.
Keef that comes out of your grinder, sure.
And but then there's bubble hash.
Then you got your bubble hash. You got your. I don't consider any of the oils to be hash.
Oh, of course, there's just
they're
oil.
Concentrates.
Now this
Thank
is
you,
what
brother.
I remember from when I was younger. Before there was any of these new concentrates that we knew anything about over in Nanaimo, we were of course making just regular oil, and so you were just just making honey oil or whatever.
I was making oil when I was like 15, so that's like 1985 or something.
And we were doing shit like just throwing ISO in a pot, throw the leaves in there, and fucking stirring up or what, like just crazy shit. Like
sit for a month under this cup.
Yeah.
And then strain it, and you got this dark green, black crud.
It's just so sick.
High off of.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Yeah.
We dried out the leaves and thought we got high, but we smoked it.
And so there's bubble hash, and there is dry sift and full melt dry sift, the variety of difference. The water hashes have been since named a multitude of names, from solventless to ice wax to bubble hash to full melt.
Yeah.
And then you have all the oils, from shatters and different solvent extracts, from hexane to propane to butane to isopropanol to ether to pure alcohol, grain alcohol.
Yeah.
Lots of different ways to extract it, and I think once we all have access to labs, because right now, no matter what, we can all think, oh, this is... I mean, this, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, has the least footprint, because when you do any type of an extraction in science, you're going to leave a footprint behind. If you extract with any type of solvent or alcohol or water or anything, this one's unique because it's a mechanical separation that's using screens and gravity and static to clean to a point of purity that leaves you with an unadulterated cannabinoid profile that the plant produced without you doing any. And of course, the one way you can manipulate it is, which this has been done, is to separate it out into the multitude of screens, which you can then take a gram of each one of those or a profile of each one of those and make your own. You know, you don't have to separate them all out, but it's fun.
And you're not getting any metal residue left over on the screens or anything like that? Or do the screens come... What about the chemicals they use in the factory that get on a screen? Is there anything like that?
I mean, I've never found anything, but once again, it's all about the guessing of, do we have a lab? I mean, I've heard of this stuff being tested and being extremely high in THC, but it's really about saying, do you have a lab and are you testing for these things? And once you do that, then you know.
Yeah. Well, and Butter King says that when he had his stuff tested, that it was clean, and he puts up all the results and everything.
But it needs to be tested every single time. That's a real standard, not just you don't test once and then those are your standards that you just tell everyone for every batch.
Yeah.
Every batch gets tested because that's a standardization that people deserve, and I think that's one of the things that people have a hard time wrapping their head around with, like, licensed producers. I'm not for licensed producers at the expense of MMAR licenses. I accept only both of them. But I do see their place in the sense that they will have to adhere to standards that currently dispensaries don't have to. And if you go into the city and you look at the dispensaries that have the highest standards, the people that are like hardcore putting the weed under a microscope looking for molds right away, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
People are afraid to bring her pounds. And that's a scary thing, that they'll bring those pounds happily to any other dispensary, but they're afraid to go down and see her because they know, well, she's fucking hardcore, man. She really she's not even testing with a lab, but she's doing as much as she can with her senses and with the prosthetics of a microscope and other little tools.
That's good.
Well, yeah, it's good. I mean, come on. Do people not deserve that? Holy shit, man.
I know.
You're paying damn near prohibition-based prices at these compassion clubs.
Yeah, or more.
Yes.
For $12 grams.
Okay, that's a $5,000 pound.
Yeah.
Really?
That's compassionate.
What a joke.
$5,000 pound, and there's no standards behind that. That's fucking what I am against right there.
No, I'm totally with you.
I'm afraid of that.
There's no reason that with 70 dispensaries in the city that people should be charging $12 a fucking gram.
No. Okay, how about this? How about maybe there is, if, and only if, and I doubt it, we implement MMAR licenses stay the way they are, and new people can get them, as many as that want them. They're going to figure out that at no value, you're not allowed to sell your weed at a dispensary, and you're not allowed to sell your weed to an LP. Okay. However, another license is implemented which allows you to get a special grow license to grow more than just for you. But now you have to implement standards, and you're legally allowed to sell to dispensaries and or LPs.
Okay.
But you have standards to adhere to, and those standards might cost you a lot of money, and you might have to sell the weed for $6 a gram instead of $2 or $8. I don't know. I'm not pretending to know, but I'm saying if the prices are up there, there better be some fucking overhead just like that behind those prices.
I agree with you, but I wonder if that should be done on a self-regulatory sort of scale, like the Cam CD the guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if there's a series of labs that
I get worried when the government steps in.
Well, maybe they don't have to. Maybe labs can, because governments don't have to be. You know, maybe one government lab can be involved, but first of all, any testing that is done needs to be redundant. You can't do one test at one lab.
How do you test for? See, the problem with pot testing is that it's so inconsistent because you'd have to do a hell of a lot of testing all the time to really keep on top of all of it. Even
okay, you know what's going to happen? No, what's going to happen though is the way we'll be forced to do the amount of testing that we're going to have to do. Yeah. People are going to come up with way better ways than what is currently available. There are some pretty incredible ways in the works right now, and when it becomes just like, you know, counting a stack of cash with a money counter. Yeah. Oh, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
Then it'll be at a point where, okay, you've got your little tester right here, you're a dispensary, everything that comes in is going through this. You have maybe a certified technician that runs that machine, and they're certified, and that's the...
You just shoot a laser at it, and it's like, perfect.
Maybe that's simple, you know, some real cool handheld HPC type thing that allows
the
to
bubble
read
sensor.
To read a profile, to read
laser.
macro.
You got to invent that.
Yeah, give you a profile. You could dial it in and be like, I want the terpene profile. I want the cannabinoid profile.
Totally.
All of it, right?
That's
so why not dream it? If we are forced into situations like standards, which I don't think is a bad thing.